So I'd like you to imagine me with a black turtleneck, with wire rim glasses. If you saw below here, 501 jeans, and if you look way below, 990 New Balance sneakers. Who does that remind you of? That's Steve Jobs. And something I've been doing around the country is the latest iteration is called Visionary Resurrection. Steve Jobs returns from the grave. Because part of my background is I used to be a hostage negotiation trainer. I was a suicide expert. So I learned to channel people. I learned to go inside them, look at the world through their eyes so that I could get them to turn over a gun, get them to not hurt themselves. And what's happened recently is I've been doing that, looking at the world through Steve Jobs' eyes, and I'm taking it around to universities and the businesses and conferences, and I'm looking for more venues to do that. And I'll give you an example. So you got to imagine I'm wearing the attire. So before I go on stage, I show a clip from the 2005 commencement address at Stanford, and I show the clip that says, you can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect the dots going backwards, and hope they'll connect in the future. And then I step onto the stage, and I said that in 2005. You can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them going backwards. And the problem is I ran out of future. But when you're cooling your heels in eternity, you got a lot of time on your hands. And I came back to connect the dots because I blew it at Apple. And this is what I blew. I was the DNA of Apple. Tim Cook, great guy, supply chain, he was the RNA. And Johnny Ive, God bless him, he was my protein, he was my 3D printer. He could take what was in my DNA and whoop, turn it into products. And what happened is I had all the dots connected in my head, and I thought they were all connected when I left, and I was wrong. So I am back to tell you exactly what I saw, what I thought, and what I did between 1997 and 2007, so that I can bring that DNA back. And if you watch it, you might be able to borrow that DNA and help your own company. Here's something that I also say, and I often lead off with, because you need a little humor when I'm coming off this way. I say about the a-hole thing. It's true that I was an a-hole early on, because when you're worth $100 million and you're 24 and you're outside, you get even with people. Plus, Wozniak. When someone walks around with 5 pencils in their shirt pocket, they're just asking for you to lay them out. I mean, they're just asking for it. And so I probably was an a-hole because I took some delight in doing that. But then after I got my head handed to me and I came back to Apple, there was more of an urgency. And really, my a-holeness when I came back was a sense of urgency and the need to remain incredibly focused. Gates and Buffett, they asked, I think after I died, what's the single most important thing to be successful as an entrepreneur? They said focus. And the point is the world is conspiring to pull you off your focus. And your head's conspiring to do that. And so since I did my best thinking walking around, anyone who knew me, I would walk around the company. I'm not going to stay in my little cubicle. And so what people knew, when I was walking around thinking, don't you ask me a question, don't you smile, don't you make eye contact, because if you take me off focus, you're going to pay for it. So that's just sort of a preview. And if, by the way, if you're an entrepreneur and you know what I'm talking about, tell your people ahead of time, for the next 2 days, I'm going to be thinking and trying to solve something. So don't take it personally if I make no eye contact, I don't smile, I don't hear you. So if you want to learn more about how Steve Jobs thought and how he turned around Apple, I hope you'll reach out to me and maybe we can do something at your organization, your conference, and maybe turn you into the next Apple.